guys, we got ourselves a nice little word problem for you guys. I know you guys hate it. However, I like it because it doesn't take a lot of math here. Let's read the problem together. The student had a beautiful plant. The plant began sprouting 2 days before, 2 days before the student bought it, and she had it for 98 days before it died. Aw. At its tallest, the plant was 30 centimeters tall. Okay, very important. Let h of t be the height and let t be the days from the time it was bought. All of this is very important, guys. So let's look at the options here. First of all, the first question, we have two questions here. Question number one says, which number type is more appropriate for the domain? We got ourselves two vocabulary words, guys. The first one, integers. If you guys don't know what an integer is, it's basically any number that's a whole number. It has to be a whole number. It could be a positive number, it could be a zero, it could be a negative number, but it has to be a whole number. Now, real numbers is basically could also be whole numbers, but it could also be decimal. So basically everything. It decimals, fractions, and negatives, everything, okay? Not just whole numbers. So real numbers is everything. Integers is just whole numbers. Positive, negatives, or zeros. So which one would be the appropriate domain? Well, if you guys don't remember domain is always what you're plugging in. It's the input. Domain. In other words, it's the input. Well, guys, look at this h of t here. I know I put f of x just an example, but in this problem, we're talking about h of t. Remember what h represents? Represents the height, right? They said it in the word problem. What does the t represent? The t represents the days. So which one is the domain we're talking about? The inside, days. Now let's talk about days then. When this plant died, do you think it died on a whole number? Or do you think there's just any time during the day it could have died? Like, does the plant say, oh, I gotta wait till midnight on Tuesday because I can only die on whole days? No, life doesn't work that way. It's the plant withers away. It could be at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. It could be at 8 a.m. It doesn't decide what time during the day it dies. So in this case, we're going to choose real numbers because we don't know when this plant could die, not just on a whole day. Now, define the interval. So what would you say is the interval for the domain? Remember, we're talking about t, and the letter t is between two inequality symbols because we're going from here to here. The letter t is between these numbers. Well, to understand the interval, we need to understand what they're saying. The domain was the time it was bought. We want to know the life of this plant from the time it was bought. Well, do you know when it died? We know it died 98 days later after it was bought. So we know there's a 98 here. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, that's a zero. But no, it's not a zero. Because if you guys don't remember, the plant began sprouting 2 days before. So the plant was already living. The plant was doing its own thing, meeting other plants, making plant friends at the store. But this person bought it 2 days later after the plant was already living life. Does that make sense? So if we're talking about in terms of buying it, well, we got to go 2 days back in time because this person didn't buy it at 0 days. This plant didn't start living until negative 2 days before the person bought it. It's like doing a countdown. It's like you're going to Disneyland in 3 weeks. So it's minus 3 weeks before we get there, minus 2 weeks before we start going. We're going a countdown as to the days you want to go to Disneyland. Same thing here. We have 2 days before this person buys me the pot of plant. And we got to figure it out, so we go backwards like a countdown. And then once the plant is bought, it's 98 days forward. I know it's very confusing, guys, but again, it's all about thinking in this case. Not about the math problems themselves, but just thinking about what they're asking. And that's basically how you do it.